nice to have you here. Can we get to know you, please?
Okay, so my name is Napa Onwusah. Napa, not Nepa. It's a very important distinction. And I've been a sales leader at global tech companies for the past 20 plus years. I've led sales teams in organizations like Google, Microsoft, Cisco, SAP, Visa, and Nokia. Outside that, I actually consult for small businesses. I work with venture capitalist funds that want to accelerate some of the businesses that they've invested. So I work with them to kind of optimize their marketing channels, their sales channels. And then I also run a charity.
Nice to know that, man. Okay, with the Nigerian inflation rate at over 19%, how can entrepreneurs market their products and services effectively? Because I'm an entrepreneur, so I want to know.
But I think my heart really goes out to entrepreneurs and small businesses because, after COVID, some people didn't really benefit from COVID. Some companies accelerated. We saw what happened to Zoom. We saw what happened to some local Nigerian companies. They were doing really well. And then people that just managed to stay alive during COVID now are hit with inflation and rising exchange rate costs. So like I said before, I do consult for small businesses and companies that are going through this. The first thing we always say is before you make any knee-jerk decisions like increasing costs or firing people, the first thing is to sit back and see how can you make your organization leaner? Or how are there opportunities for growth in other sectors? Maybe you want to pivot your business. So you see some people that have platforms for education, platforms for maybe online meetings. They pivoted to education during COVID, and then they were able to see growth in those areas. So that's the first thing before there are any knee-jerk reactions. Let's look internally and see if there are any opportunities for growth or any opportunities for optimization. And then the second thing is, of course, then implementing that plan and implementing it through, not being moved by exchange rate. Because, some of the people that run businesses, they'll come and say, it's 721 today on Napa, if it hits 900. And I'm like, what was the plan? What did we discuss? How did we say we were going to implement this? And then seeing it through to the cost. But it's a very challenging time for businesses. And some businesses are growing exponentially during this period because they're leveraging this, but others are really suffering.
Just a little, piggyback a little bit of what you said. You said making businesses lean. So one of the ways to make a business is a little bit more lean is layoffs. So is that something? When do you get to the point as a business, a struggling entrepreneur, where you feel that laying off is a viable option to take? I know there are other options. You could stop promotions for a bit. You could hire internally. You could stop external hires. But layoffs is an actual thing that would also help, with where you cut off excesses, for instance. So at what point as a business would you know that, hey, it's time to let Napa go?
Okay, see, the thing is, if it is a knee-jerk reaction, don't lay off. If you've looked at the business's entirety, then you can look at it. So let me give you an example. There's a company that had very high cost in terms of their product engineers. And engineers now are kings in the market. So their payroll, about 60% was the engineers, and then their revenue had started going down because they needed to increase costs and all of that. And there was a lot of decisions they were making that they weren't taking into consideration, maybe partnerships or collaborations and all of that. And what we did was that some of the engineers were willing to move into non-tech roles for a period and sell and take on a target. Then there were some other employees that were willing to take on stock or shares instead of stock in this case, stock in this case, instead of taking on a salary. So they were saying that, okay, I'm going to forward invest in the company and I will take a leaner salary in this period. So as much as you want to lay off, my concern, if you are going through a crisis and you're laying off, it means that in structuring your HR, you didn't take leanness into consideration, which is one of the things for SMEs. And I see it with small businesses. You now say you want to fill the place with salespeople, or suddenly you decide you want a full HR department when you could use a SaaS solution, for example, for your HR. You may not need that. So if the solution is laying off, it does speak to the fact that maybe you didn't structure your HR correctly in line with what your business actually needed. So that's a instant red flag. But there are cases where you need to lay off. I'm sure you guys are hearing Snapchat laid off, Netflix laid off, but I would want to believe for those kind of organizations, they have done the due diligence of looking at different ways in which you can kind of optimize first, become leaner first. Are there areas of growth? Are there areas of collaboration? Are there areas of partnership? So if there is a way that you can do all of that, have a plan, and if that plan includes layoff, yes, then that is possible. So there is a startup that I'm working with now, and we laid off about 50% of their team, and that happened last week. But the way we laid it off was completely different. So they're leaving the organization, but we converted them into volunteers. You see, because they're still so passionate about the product, and then we put some compensation structure in place that improved immediately the bottom line of the company, but you still have advocates that are out there that are pushing. Yeah, so there are ways to do it.
Okay, thank you so much for that excellent answer. So you're bringing over 20 years of experience to talk about entrepreneurship, marketing, and sales channels. So generally, I understand that sales channels are ways for business to reach their customers in order to improve sales directly or indirectly. So what more can we expect from you when it comes to sales channels and your talk around it during this summit?
So yeah, when I got the topic, it was quite interesting for me. But I would actually want us to go all the way back to the genesis, and I hope when I say this during the talk, it will be well received. And is that, did anybody ask you to build this product actually? And did anybody ask you to sell the product? Because what I see with a lot of young founders and entrepreneurs is somebody has a conversation, it's very exciting. You see a guy, this coding thing, that's what's happening. And everybody is talking about this particular, do you understand? And that's when you have market saturation. It's because everybody feels that the profits are high, the revenues are high, and they're moving into this. And a product should always be first a solution. So who asked you to do this? And like I tell my clients, there's actually an exercise we do in our firm, in my consulting firm, is who sent you? So you have to tell us who sent you to either sell or to build. So as much as you don't want to start talking about sales channels and optimizing and marketing, the truth is if there's no customer at the end of that channel, do you see the problem? Yeah, you see? Do you understand? In fact, it's not only cart before the horse, it is water before you're thirsty. It is, there's so many analogies we can use that you just woke up and decided today I'm going to waste my money. That's what you did. Yeah. So being able to kind of reflect a bit on whether anybody asked you to build the product or anybody asked you to sell it first, or if you found it as a problem in a particular segment and you were serving a particular business, clients. Yeah.
So finally, at the end of your talk, what do you want the over 23,000 people that registered for this event to take home after listening to the great Napa talk about marketing? What I would want people to go away with is a playbook. And this is something we do in sales a lot. You have a playbook that kind of walks you through your customer journey from when they are just becoming aware of your product to when they actually buy, purchase, and how you manage the client afterwards. When I go for programs, the tendency is people always talk at me, as opposed to really engaging me and allowing me to take something back that I can use in my business. So I really hope that I'll be able to deliver a playbook that anybody that attends that has a startup or has a business will be able to kind of use and say, okay, these are the areas I can become better. And I also hope that people will share their own experiences as well, how their businesses are doing and what they have learned with the 23,000 people that will be there tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us. I can't wait to listen to you with the other 23,000 people tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.